Welcome to the Family First Retirement Podcast with George Politaris. For more information, visit BetrayaWealth.com. Now, let's get to the show.
We always say every weekend here on Family First Retirement, there are no questions too big or too small. And even if you're not working exclusively with George, he's here to help and serve the community. You had a great question come to you from social media, your Betraya Wealth Group Facebook page. What was that question? And let's explore it a little bit.
It's a great question from someone I've known for many years, and we're friends on Facebook, went to school together. And her question is about the digital dollar. And she asked me, do you think that's going to happen? If so, do you think it'll be now or in years to come? If this happens, and she has in parentheses, not good, how can we opt out of that? Or will we have no choices? That's a great question. The government's job truly is to monitor everything that we do, whether it's if you retweet for someone running for public office, or you send your grandson or your son Venmo of $600, they want to know that money and tax you on it. So to answer your question about this, do you think it's going to happen? Most certainly I do. One reason, we just talked about how they want to monitor our system, monitor everything you do, every part of your life they want to monitor, but even more importantly, they want to track the money. And there's a fee or a cost for them to make a dollar bill. You know, that dollar bill life expectancy is not what you would think a coin would be. It lasts for a finite amount of time, and where it becomes unusable and they have to discard. So it costs money to reprint that. So that's one reason. Do you think it's going to happen? Definitely. Is it now or in the future? I think it's closer to now than it is 20 years. If they have their way and they've spoken about it. And that's the thing. You know, we talk about this every week on the show. They bring up crazy ideas, right? Something that you roll your eyes and think it's Flash Gordon back from the 40s talking about going to the moon.
Right.
But the more they mention it, the more uncrazy, if that's the right word, it sounds. So they're talking about digitalizing a dollar, making it everything so it's on your phone or a card, which most of us have those cards in our wallet right now, and they're going to do it. And I just think it's probably the next 5-10 years you'll see a major push rather than 30 years down the road. So yes, they will be coming in the near future. And so many places, Mark, we talked about this last week, I believe. Everything is digitized. You can't go to the link where the Eagles play or played, whatever the heck the term we want to use.
Right.
Is, and spend money as you go pull out $1 out of your pocket and buy that pretzel or that soda. It's all by card now. They don't want any money traces. I think my family may be one of the last dying breeds, and probably not, but I go to the bank every Friday and take cash out. And I want to have cash in my pocket. I ask Les all the time, how much money do you want this week? And her running joke is $5. So I take out the money and I give her cash every week for whatever she wants, you know, just to have money in your purse. And I take money I put in my pocket just so if I want to stop and get a cup of coffee, I'm not going to use my ATM card for a cup of coffee. So that's coming. And I don't think there will be a way to opt out of it. They're going to put so much pressure at the IRS. I mean, the IRS's job is to collect taxes, but it's also a policing force anymore. Mm-hmm. And they're putting the pressure on mom and pops. And that's the problem. They're putting pressure on mom and pop stores, businesses, not take green bills. You know, a local bank here, a national bank, but it's local here, TD, they now have, when you deposit $7,800, they start doing a money trace of where that money came from, cash. It's been $10,000, but they're making it tighter and tighter as they go. Pretty soon, if I put in $500, where'd this money come from? So the IRS is heavily active in this segment of the government, and they are going to keep pushing. So it's a great question, Aaron. So they are going to make it. I don't know if we'll have options. I guess that's where the black market comes into play for some people if you want to do something illegal. But that's the way it's going to go. Unfortunately, the government's moving in that direction.
And I don't want to be like conspiracy theorist here, but I've also heard stories of the government saying, well, because of the climate emergency that we're in right now, we're going to freeze your assets, or we're just going to dip in and take a little bit of your paycheck. Hey, it's all in the name of climate research, or it's all in the name of this government program that's going to help out your fellow neighbors. Now, you know, we can access your funds, so we're just going to take a little bit from time to time, but it's all for the greater good, even though you have no control over it.
How great is it, though, Mark? We're talking about the climate control and the climate police and how the woke society has gone crazy.
Right.
We have these Teslas and these electric cars, and not the ones that are hybrids, but the ones that are all electric. And the story came out last weekend that it was so cold in, I want to say Chicago, that they couldn't charge the cars. The battery froze. And what's the story there? It's such a great technology. How can they not? Half the country lives in cold climate. And really, I saw a meme, whatever you call that, saying that these electric cars should only go off of wind and sun power to recharge. No more gas generators to run them. So you got to put people under control a little bit. The climate people drive their private planes to go see the KC Chiefs play, and their footprint's pretty damn big. But yet they're telling you and I that we can't have a gas range in our home.
Right.
So,
all right, well, let me ask you this. What can we do to protect our assets better? I know you said that, look, eventually we may all move to digital currency. What can we do to help protect our assets?
We need to protect every cent we have, because at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your choices and your decisions. And we do have options available. And Mark, we always talk about this. We had the snowstorm last week, and all those snowflakes that fell out of the sky, each one was different. Not one was like the one before it or one after it, because we're unique. That's why I think it's so important that you come in and give us a call at 302-330-2166, and let's schedule an opportunity to sit down with myself, get a chance to meet Angie and Achilles and Jared and the team and Ernie, and to see how we're going to help you manage your funds. What's the right fit for you? Because we always say, Mark, what's right for you is not necessarily right for me. I have a size 15 shoe, and we know that you have little feet a size 9.
Do not!
So, Mark, stop. But
8.5.
We're different. We're unique. And let me sit down and see what we have, see where we want to go, and how we can properly protect your assets for you. And even more importantly, I want to make sure that your spouse taken care of, your children, your grandchildren, because it's your money, your choices. Let's make sure you make the right choices going forward to help them when your time's called to go home. At the end of the day, it's about keeping my family being your family, safe, your family in the best place possible, and your legacy growing for as long as you like. But you need to pick up the phone and call us at 302-330-2166, or go to Patria Wealth, that's Patria Wealth.com, to schedule your no-cost, no-obligation meeting, meet the team, and let's take the next step forward in giving you the plan, the roadmap you need for a bright future.
And the headline's pretty heavy right now, especially we're into it now, an election year. It's down. It looks like more and more every day it's going to be Trump and Biden, and headlines are heavy. Digital currency is a conversation. There's a lot going on. Sometimes you just need a calming voice to talk to you and say, here's the situation we're in. Here's how we can better your situation financially. Here's how we can customize a plan. And that voice is George Politaris and the team at the Patria Wealth Group. Again, 302-330-2166. Speaking of digital currency, I want to get your take on Bitcoin, because it might be back into the headlines. It may be back being mainstream. The government's just given the green light for something called Bitcoin ETFs, which are exchange-traded funds. This is intended to give regular investors better access to cryptocurrency. But, George, I want you to do this clip from Jeff Sika, a wealth manager who specializes in alternative investments. And he tells Fox Business when it comes to Bitcoin, it's buyer beware.
This new ETF is going to bring billions and billions of dollars into Bitcoin, mostly from institutions. It will probably give Bitcoin a boost, but owning Bitcoin is like having a tiger as a pet. It's cool, it's fun, until it decides to attack you and eat you.
That's pretty dramatic.
Love his analogy, because he's right.
So, yeah, what's your take on Bitcoin?
I'm not a fan of it, only because I don't understand it enough. Let's look at all these athletes that thought they were so smart, and they took their salary in Bitcoin.
Right.
And they got, pick a number, whatever the price is, they got $50 million contract in Bitcoin. And then it took its dive from $44,000 for a Bitcoin to $22,000. They lost all that wealth. They can't recuperate that wealth. That's what makes it so, I think, a fad for people. Like, oh, I have this. But for reality, I don't know how true it's going to be. Maybe in 20 or 30 years it might be. And I tell people this, and my sons try to explain this. Alex and Jared try to explain this to me. And I'm going to be honest with you, Mark, I just don't feel comfortable with something I can't understand.
Right.
They say you go and you mine it or something. Where do you mine it at? On the computer, so it's imaginary. I can go mine gold or mine silver. Mm-hmm. I understand that. I don't understand this. So if you can't understand it, how can you just jump into the fad and say this is the way to go? Until it's solidified and there's a better structure where the fluctuation doesn't go. Because if you look in the past, what makes the US dollar up to the last 2 years the standard and the trading platform for all currencies throughout the world? It's been the stability of the US dollar. It's been the strength of the US dollar up to the last 2 years. Last 2 years, we're in some trouble. But before that, that's what was always traded. For oil, was traded off the US dollar. The most counterfeit bill in the world was a US $20 bill because of the stability. I don't see stability with the Bitcoin. I can't see it jumping up 50%, going down 75% the next day as something that is stable and stability. Do you want to play with it? Invest in it? Sure, that's okay. But as a standard for your future and your retirement, absolutely not. I just don't find that to be something that I personally can stomach and sleep with at night. And I think you need to be able to sleep at night. You know, we talk about wandering the house when you're concerned, getting up and having that snack at 1 o'clock in the morning so you can't sleep.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that would keep me up, eating my snacks and leftovers at 1 o'clock at night.
And if you hear anything on this weekend show you need some clarity on, feel free to reach out to the team, just as this young lady did via social media. The team at Betrayal Wealth Group, always available to answer your questions. There are no questions too big or too small regarding your money. 302-330-2166, betrayalwealth.com, or, of course, on social media. Just put a search on it, Betrayal Wealth, wherever you subscribe to your favorite social media platform. And as we're talking about the market and inflation and investment, speaking of inflation, Wall Street, the feeling is the Fed will either pause or lower interest rates at the next meeting. But I want you to hear this clip from economist Peter Schiff, who disagrees regarding inflation.
The markets are looking at the resurgence in inflation, and their conclusion is, okay, the Fed's just going to have to fight a little harder to win this battle. No. What we're seeing is proof that the Fed has already lost. Inflation won. The Fed can't possibly raise rates high enough to reduce inflation without crippling the economy, without creating a worse financial crisis than 2008. Those days of really low inflation, they're gone. We're not going back to 2%, not even close. We're going to be much higher.
All right, George, so if 3% inflation, 3.2, 3.4% inflation is the new normal, what does that mean when the way you structure a retirement plan?
Well, when you look at historical data, Mark, the country runs really, really well, about 3.5% inflation. It runs smoothly, efficiently, profitably. It goes forward in a great pace. With the inflation we've had our last 4 years, 3.5 years, it's been astronomical, the pressure and how it's minimized people's retirement, how it's minimized our checks. We went grocery shopping the other day, and good Lord, we got a shopping bag for $100. And there's nothing inside this bag. So when you say about the inflation kicking in, how's this planned for? How do we plan for this inflation? I know the country's not going to stay at 6-7% inflation. It can't afford to. We as human beings, Americans, can't afford 7% inflation year after year after year. Because we know that in 10 years, what happens in 10 years is 7%, Mark. Prices doubled, right?
Yep.
Your earnings, investments, same thing with costs. So we calculate 3.75% to 4% inflation. I always want to be in the right place. I want to show you, when we talk about working with your retirement plan, putting a plan together for our customers and our family members, it's several factors included. One is we have an income plan in that, Mark. And what that income plan does, it shows that today you're working and you're getting paid this much per month, quarter, however you're getting paid, your spouse's benefit. What our Social Security is going to be, and when we're going to turn that on. That's part of our plan. We talk about in that income plan, what are your retirement accounts? So do you have a 401k? Do you have a 403b? Do you have a TSP, IRA, CD, savings? We figure that in. Because we're going to say today we have this money coming in, but when you retire, where's the money going to come for retirement? So that's the income plan. We're going to turn on Social Security at what age? We're going to start pulling out of our 401k, our IRA, using our annuity, our managed funds. How are we going to get that? We have a pension. Great. How's it going to fill our void for retirement? Because when we retire, we still need money to come in. We're still living. And we have to make sure we get to do everything we want to, we plan for, and quite honestly, you deserve in retirement. Then we also go over your expenses. And I've always found, Mark, that the expenses for people are really hard to figure out. They don't realize how much they spend on things. Because most people say, well, my mortgage is this, my car payment's that, electric is this. But they don't think about the alarms, the lawn service, the cable, the cell phones, vacations, holiday, trips. I always budget people date nights for couples, health insurance, all those fun factors, charitable donations to your church or synagogue, or to St. Jude's, or to Wounded Warriors, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But we're going to figure all those expenses out, and we make you think, because all of a sudden you realize, wow, I spent more than I thought I did, because you have that little card in your wallet, you just swipe it, or you have automatic withdrawals, and now you have a better grasp about that. Then we go over your Social Security with you, understanding the gaps and pitfalls, which we'll discuss later on. But when's the right time for you to turn on Social Security and how it will affect you and your family? And then we have to discuss taxes, right? If you're not discussing taxes with your financial advisor, folks, they are harming you, not helping you. Because we're all adults. We understand that there are processes and things that we have to do as we get older.
Yeah.
Taxes are one of the things that are not going to go away. Really, unfortunately, I know as much as we wish, especially in today's economy and the way our country's running, we will have taxes as an issue, and you need to plan for it. And when I plan for taxes, when I plan for income coming in, taxes, expenses, I'm always looking at the worst case scenario, so we have it higher. The income you're getting, I'm always rather say we're going to have less money coming in than you will, only because I want the worst case scenario to be looking at us. If I say, for example, Mark, that your expenses are going to be $5 a month,
okay,
and you're going to be bringing $10 a month, you're going to be happy, looks good on paper.
Yep.
But what happens if it's reversed?
I need a new strategy.
Yeah, or you want to stab George. And rule number one is don't get stabbed.
That's a tough. When you walk into Betrayal Wealth Group, rule number one, don't stab George. Number
Correct.
two,
remember that rule, folks. Very
strategy.
Important. But we have that there. So I always look at your expenses being higher than they are, your income being less than they are, so that we're in the best place. And if it doesn't happen and we're in a better place, we have more income, great. We're in a good place. We're safe as a family, safe as a person, and we can live and do what we want to do. And then obviously we talk about your medical costs. You know, we just said inflation ideally would never be at 3% again, probably in the next 5 years.
Right.
Because the government just can't allow it to go that way because of the position we're in. But long-term care, your health insurance costs rise at 3 times the rate of inflation. That's something you need to worry about. That's something you need to plan for. When you sit down with myself, and you're going to meet Angie with this, I'm going to be honest with you. Angie does everything I do, and she's the Medicare and health insurance guru when you come in the office. There's not a question she doesn't know, see how to handle, and know the path of action to get you in the best place possible. But you have to address those issues. And you may say, I'm 50 years old, I don't care about it. Then you need to get your head out of the sand and plan for it, because before you know it, you're there.
Yeah.
And we have to be prepared for it. But you need to pick up the phone and call. Give us a call at 302-330-2166. Come in, let's have an initial meeting. It's going to be an hour long. We're going to get a chance to meet each other, get a chance to talk, see what your goals are, what our ideas are, gather information. We waste more time, an hour, probably watching a stupid show on Netflix or Amazon than we do about something that's going to last for the rest of your life.
Think about how much time we spend scrolling. Oh. I did that the other morning. I couldn't sleep, and I was like, well, let me just scroll for a second, just kind of,
How many hours?
Oh, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It felt like 10 minutes.
It went by really quick, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Our mind gets so busy on those other things that aren't important. They seem kind of important. It's funny to watch when you're scrolling, seeing someone fall in the ice, which people in Georgia don't know how to do very well. But it's funny to see that. Or to see the dog jump on the guy's face or something. Right. It's funny.
Yeah.
But guess what? Let's spend the time, just 1 hour.
Yep.
Think about 1 hour to make sure you get the best place possible and get the ideas, information you need to move forward. We always talk, Mark, about people plan longer for a temporary situation than they do a lifetime event. and we say vacations. Leslie and I, we go on vacation every summer to the beach, to the shore in Jersey. The boys are there, their families are there. I love it. Leslie's planning that stuff like in, February, that we're going in September. I can tell you where we're going to eat, the day we're going to eat there, where we're going to go, everything. Shouldn't we have the same tenacity we have for something that's going to last a lifetime?
Mm-hmm.
Your retirement's a long time. We're in retirement 30 years. Take the hour. Let's get together. Let's start laying a plan out because, and I always say this and it sounds redundant, but doesn't your spouse and your children deserve to be in the best place possible? Don't they deserve that peace of mind that if something happens to mom or dad, that the other partner, the other mom, the other dad are going to be okay? I think they deserve it.
Yeah.
If you don't do it for yourself, how about doing it for the ones you love? Give us a call, 302-330-2166, and let's schedule that conversation. Let's start the process, and let's give you some answers.
Investment advisory services are offered only through properly registered representatives of Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, which is not affiliated with Betrayal Wealth Group. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if George Politaris is licensed in your state, please contact his office. George A. Politaris is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through George A. Politaris, NPN number 175000473.